And the other thing when you look at too, whenever choosing a sight option for Total Archery Challenge, even for hunting, right, is your pin configuration. I mean, that's a big topic, and everyone, again, has a different opinion on what they like best, whether it's a vertical post, whether it's a horizontal pin, whether it's a multi-pin, single pin, whatever it is, everyone has a little bit of a different opinion on it. I used to be a 3-pin horizontal with the ability to dial. That's what I shot forever. I really liked it because I had a fixed 20, 30, 40, and I could dial exact yardage out past those distances, which was fantastic. I've more recently in the last year or so gone specifically to a vertical post. 3-pin is what I like most. I do have a double pin with the Tetra or the single post, 2 pins that are non-adjustable. But everybody this year has come out with a vertical micro adjustable 3-pin sight, which I think is like the move. It gives you the best of everything. So you have the clarity on both sides, left or right. There's nothing obstructing the housing. It's clutter free. And you have 3 pins that you can micro adjust for exact yardages. So you can still, as a bow hunter, like a whitetail hunter, 20, 30, 40 to me is like the go-to. Now you can take and run that setup and then dial that yardage with no clutter left or right, up or down. It's all nice and tight, and dial those extreme yardages with that.
Yeah, and it does make it convenient with that vertical post, so you can just follow that leg up on a whitetail, and then you're going to be right there in that vital V pretty much, as long as you're aiming right. But it does make it really nice with that aiming wise. Like for me though, I don't care whether it's a horizontal or vertical, but I have been kind of gravitating more towards that vertical post as well.
I think too, you can see whenever you're torquing the bow a little bit with the vertical post. And I think that's another great point that was brought up yesterday by Pat, Pat Hill, a friend of ours. And, whenever you're shooting that bow, and if you start to induce hand torque in a riser, it's going to throw the flight of your arrow off. Right. So you want to do everything you do to mitigate hand torque. And that's another way of checking yourself. You can always look up at your cam, right, and make sure everything's tracking in line, which is what I typically do. The more familiar I get with the bow, the less you have to do that. But a new bow, I always check cam and string to make sure I'm not torquing it. But that's another great way too, is making sure if you're torquing that bow, you'll start to see those posts and it won't be as clear as it should be. So it's another great way of checking yourself. And that's why another reason I like that vertical post style.
That's a great point.
But so what about this though? So when we talk about vertical posts, obviously you can run a single pin, you can run a 2-pin non-adjustable, or you can run now those 3 vertical pins that are all adjustable. What in your opinion, do you like a single pin specifically for tack if you were going to pick one, or do you still like the multi-pin option?
Nope. I'm going to run a multi-pin option.
Why?
I want to be able to have different yardages, and a lot of times if you run that single pin, that's going to limit you on your yardages too. So you got to have more options for you basically. And another nice thing too is, once you have those 3 pins, as long as they have the indicators on your sight tape too, as long as your sight tape is set correctly to those indicators, you can choose any different pin for any yardage. So it does make it really nice to be able to do that. So you can use any pin as your floater with that.
Yeah. So that was what I wanted to pull out of you, because I was sitting to think about this last night whenever we were going to talk about it. And I was like, man, one of the big the limiting factors for people is yardage when it comes to these, right? Like I just don't get enough yardage out of my sight, guys that run single pins, and whatnot. But when you have more like pin options, whether it's a 2 or a 3-pin adjustable with those multiple indicators, like last year at Total Archery Challenge, my Mach 33, I was running a fairly light arrow, an Easton 5.0. It's like, what was it, 418-ish grains, somewhere around there. I could dial that side out with my top pin all the way to like almost 120 yards. But then I could get down to like 160 with my bottom pin and my bottom indicator. So I really had the ability to shoot that bow as far as I could ever need. So that is one of the things I would agree with you on too, is I like those multi-pins over just a single pin for that precision, just to get a little bit more distance out of my sight, because we know some of these courses, some of the more challenging courses that they have, are going to really test the limit of how far you can shoot that bow. So yeah, I really like the that 3-pin. And now with everybody going to the micro adjustment on it, where you can, like, we're not talking about sliding, how you always had to move your pins, you had to slide them. They're micro adjustable now. So you loosen a set screw and you can micro adjust these pins up or down for perfect yardage. So you really get a lot out of these sights now.
Yeah. The only, it's not even really a downside. It's just more of an inconvenience is you have to make sure you have those indicators set correctly. So that's where it's nice on like that 2-pin is because they've already got that preset on the indicator. So you don't have to worry about bumping those or moving them. So that is, one of the nice things with that. It makes it a little bit easier for setup. So just with those multi-pins, you have to take more time to get it set up correctly.
Yeah, I think that's kind of where some people miss too, is they don't take their time with setting up their yardage tapes or their sight tapes. Mm-hmm. It's really easy to rush it. You shoot one good group, and you at 20 and 60, whatever it is, however you're doing it, and you throw that sight tape on, and it turns out that group wasn't as good as it should have been. It wasn't consistent. You weren't consistently shooting these groups, and your sight tape is now off, and you've got to kind of reconfigure it. Right. So for me, whenever I set my sight tape for something like this, it usually takes me like a week or so to do it, because I'll shoot 20 and make sure 20's on, and then I'll go back to 60. I'll shoot 60 for a couple of days, and then I'll kind of walk back farther and I'll mark it on there. I'll shoot 80. 100, whatever it is, and then I'll line everything up and make sure that it's actually trued. And then I go back and I true the actual sight tape to make sure that that sight tape is actually where it's supposed to be.
Right, and I'm pretty much the same way. It takes me a couple days to get mine set, but I'll actually shoot all the yardages, and I want to make sure everything is set correctly so I can confirm the data is matching correctly.
Yeah, I think it's important because you go out there and you've only shot 20 and 60, and you go to dial 110 yards, and then you're not even close.
Yeah, you're missing the target, losing arrows, and if you're shooting 5.0s or any high-end arrow, that's a lot of money that you could be losing potentially.
Dude, we watched guys lose like 1.5 dozen, 2 dozen arrows at Total Archery events. So if you're starting to lose arrows that fast, I would say slow down and check, see what's wrong. Go to one of the shops that are there to have them help you out. Yeah. Because that gets expensive quick. Yeah,
it can. And that brings up a point too. Is like a lot of guys are running those aftermarket sight tapes like precision cut. You got to get all the measurements for your peep height, your arrow measurements, peep to scope, all that stuff. That is really cool, and it does actually work really well, but it cannot be always perfect. So just another thing, definitely take your time when you're doing it.
You've always got to check it. And that's the big takeaway, I think, is just make sure that you've checked and confirmed your equipment.